With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels on everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift.
Woo!
Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Hi everyone, it's your favorite algorithm, Glory. Let's get started. Non-binary listeners, ladies and gentlemen, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookins, 3 doors down, the audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose, or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our host's past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events unrelated to outcomes may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo, LLC. All rights reserved.
I want a voice too. I was first.
T-Rex, did you hear that? That wasn't me.
It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
I took a walk around the world to ease my troubled mind. I left my body lying somewhere in the sands of time, but I watched the world float to the dark side of the moon. After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really don't mind what happens now and then, as long as you'll be my friend in the end. If I go crazy, will you still call me Superman? Welcome to episode 158 of our Casino Combat podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you are here. Not Superman. And I wouldn't say I went crazy at the end of the last episode, but I did kind of take a metaphorical walk to ease my troubled mind. I want to thank every single one of you who checked in on me, called, emailed, messaged. I'm fine. Insurance is being difficult and complex and overly so and fighting me on every bit of it. I do think I just needed to move past it by sharing what happened with friends at a lounge. Be careful. I'm being more careful. Making some changes to how I do things. Building some new rituals and totems that are a bit more mindful of things. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. The author of the song from today's lyrics once said that it was about not who would stand with him when he was doing very well, like Superman, but when he was in a bad place, crazy if you will, who would stand with him. So the dark side of the moon was a useful moment, and I am back to business. If you are new here, sorry for the drama. Sorry about that. You are very, very welcome. We are so very happy with whatever caused you to click play and join us today and listen to this episode. Stick around. I hope you hear something of value, drama aside. Drama is not a normal part of what we do with our Casino Combat podcast. We are about winning the game of casino gambling. I've done 4 years of content documenting how I win that very unique game, that very wonderful game. The games that I play within that game, the way that I play, the results that I get, the amazing places we've seen, and people we've met along the way. It's amazing. I've used the word too many times there, but it is. It is stunning. It is a little bit scary, all the neat things that have happened in our life over the past 4 years, doing this podcast and sharing what we know with all of you. If this is your first time, you were just given the greatest gift that any gambler could be given. You were just invited to join an incredibly smart and talented group of fellow players who are eager to help you become someone who sees casinos and cruise ships as a travel club that pays us to be a member. And we are going to do all of that for the low introductory price of $0. That's right, $0. You just got an amazingly valuable invitation, and it is going to cost you nothing to take advantage of that invitation. All you have to do is participate. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the virtual VIP lounge today, and I'll lay all of that out for you in just a minute. It's been a minute since we did this. It's been a while. That'd be a better constructor. Who wrote this script? It's been a while since we did this, so let me do this really, really quickly. If this is your first time or your next time, and if it is your next time, thank you so much for very coming back. Either way, our podcast is a big place. The TRG-verse contains now not one, but 2 galaxies for us to explore, and an ever-growing roster of characters, strategies, and techniques. We've got our own vocabulary. I'm not suggesting participation is simple. Good should not necessarily always be easy. Sometimes skills have to be acquired for them to be useful, not just given to us, not just handed to us. So we do have 2 rules for the current phase that we are in, the current era of this podcast after the growth that we have had. In a casino, if your actions won't harm another player, what you choose to do is neither right or wrong. Do as you will is the entirety of the law in that regard. And the next and most important rule, if you don't know, ask. If you hear something you don't know, ask. It's not always going to be possible to explain every single thing in every single moment. If you hear I'm playing TRG2 with a 35 rapier, but I'm not regrouping, and you don't know what some part of that means, ask. Ask in the Facebook group, Casino Combat Squad. Ask as a part of a post of ours on Instagram. Find us and ask. Hit us up on X and ask. All those links are at the top of the webpage, casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. Always ask by emailing me. I am very available. As gambling experts go, I am very, very available to you. Ask a resource. Wow, easy for me to say. I'm here, I'm available, I am passionate about helping people be better at the game of casino gambling, and you can ask me anytime, find me anytime by emailing trg@casinocombat.com with a K, combat with a K, casino with a C, combat with a K. It was cheaper that way, it was a lot cheaper that way. You can email me. I will answer your question. I will point you to the content that will answer your question. If you want to play TRG2 and learn TRG2, I will point you to episode 62 and 63. If you want the slot strategy, I'll point you to the slot strategy. If you want to learn ambush on bubble craps or craps, hit me up. I will help you with all of that, but we're not always going to reference it every time we talk about it. Okay, all right, let's go. If you haven't noticed, I am fired up. Honest truth, full transparency. Yesterday, at this moment in time, I had a couple notes about a potential future episode. And I still have those notes, and those will still be in a future episode. But I woke up, I poured my chocolate milk, I got thinking a thought, I did a little research, I had another thought, I realized I had a question that I'd answered, and I kind of threw out my whole plan for the day and decided I just wanted to talk to you guys about this thing right now. About the things in this stack of paper I've got here. I created an episode, probably start to finish, in the quickest time I've ever created it. At least I'm assuming I'm going to get through this stack and we're going to have an episode. I am so motivated. Here is the battle plan that I came up with. I do these every episode so that you know the segments to expect in the episode that you are listening to today. As I said, I am fired up about this. I just pulled together a bunch of stuff, and boom, we've got an episode. I literally, as I said, just woke up. Hey, I need to make an episode. So let's do this. I have more than enough material. And here's what we're going to do today. First, we're going to start with questions my sons ask. I've got 2 prompts that I think everyone will benefit from hearing my response to. Then, I have a very interesting, oh boy is this one fun, Core Koncepts segment for you. I have learned something about ADT that I had heard in a weird way and discounted, but recent events make it make sense. Recent events make it real. I'm going to, for some of you, break news as it relates to ADT right here today. And for those of you that may have already known this, shame on you for not telling all of us. If you're going, well, sure, TRG, of course, and you've been listening for a while and you knew this, you lose points for not sharing with us on this topic. But big news on the ADT front. We are going to use the core concept, if you lose for the month, make it up with comps and gifts, to talk about this aspect of ADT that I have just learned and verified. Then I'll be doing a results segment to share another set of results from my journey walking the path in the Beyond the Book galaxy. And then we will adjourn to the virtual VIP lounge for some sips. And I want to tell you about an opportunity that I think more of you should want to take advantage of, and that we would really like you to take advantage of. So, before we get to all of that, what is going on in the Casino Combat Galaxy? So much, so very, very, very much. We are still able to book a few more cabins on the August 2nd premier casino hosting card cruise to Bermuda. As I've said, email me, trg@casinocombat.com, if you would like to join us. Qualified players sail for free, paying only taxes and fees. Many of the brightest lights in the TRG-verse will be on this cruise, and we would love to have you join us and sail with us. Everyone has been very busy traveling and playing, and for the most part, winning. Nakatomi Tony and Equine Ensign just spent time to get Atlantic City together during the Caesars 10 times multiplier weekend. Inner Circle member Gator Gambler was just in Red Rock for a roller coaster of a weekend that I'm going to tell you a little bit more about later. And he was then in Atlantis for a blackjack tournament. The CEs, ACE and ECE, just spent time at the center of the Casino Combat Galaxy Ocean Resort and Casino. Mrs. TRG and I were just at Seneca Resort for a blackjack tournament. If you are out and about, there is a solid chance that a member of our squad is around. And that reminds me, there has been so much going on. I haven't pointed to this as often as I should. A great way to be seen and for us to find each other is by wearing squad gear when you go to the casino. A hat, a vest, a shirt, a something. It will help us find each other, and it's easy to do. Go to the website, casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K, of course. But go there, click on gear at the top. We have an entire store of squad gear that you can wear to the casino. And if you want something done on a custom basis, if you see something but you'd like it to be a little different, if you want art from item A to go on item B, feel free to email me, feel free to contact me. We will get that designed. We will get that done for you. It is absolutely possible. All right, let's get started with questions my sons ask.
What? What? What?
My sons ask questions about gambling. Increasingly, listeners ask questions about gambling. And I have 2 very good, very interesting, really good questions and answers to share with you today. I really, really do. First up, and we have a new Excelsior Brigade member, recently made member, and I got an email from him, and I originally had one title picked out. I originally had one call sign picked out for him, and then he signed it TB named. Obviously to be named. And that threw me because I thought I'd already assigned a name. And I checked my notes and I'd already assigned a name, and I like that name. But I also like player to be named later a lot too. So kind of on the fence. We're going to kind of leave that to be named later, but I kind of like player to be named later. That sounds fun. I had gone with something else, but I got a great question. And he said, hi, I listened to episode 155 where you were one roll from being done and Mrs. TRG came to the rescue. And that was the craps table, the private game at Sunset Station, where the more skilled practice players were just ice cold, and Mrs. TRG and then Casino Combat Chef really lit that table up, brought me back from the dead without a question. And so the questions were, how do you account for streaks? Statistics tell us 1 million flips of a coin, 500,000 are heads, 500,000 are tails. Why and how do streaks exist? How and when do you identify streaks? And how, when you do identify, and how and when do you identify the end of a streak? So great questions there. Wonderful questions there, as I said. So let's go through these. How do I account for streaks? How do I account for the fact that out of 1 million tosses, 500 are going to be heads of a coin, 500 are going to be tails of a coin? Why and how do streaks exist? And my response was, your question is kind of how I explain streaks and explain why winning is possible. Over all the hands of blackjack played today around the globe in 24 hours, the house is going to win the amount the house is supposed to win. Probably a good bit more due to poor play on the player's part. But I personally am not going to play a meaningful percentage of all of those hands. I'm going to play a fraction of those hands, and I'm going to look for a small number of hands within that very small subset that go my way more than 50% of the time. And then I'm going to be done. And if I can't find that little streak, I'm going to stop looking and come back the next day and try again. Positive and negative streaks in the existence of a player occur because the player only observes a meaningless percentage of the total hands played today. The next question was, how and when do I identify streaks? And my response was, I would not say I identify streaks. That implies knowledge or recognition. I would say instead the way I wager hunts for streaks, and I see them after they have happened as the result of the outcome. One of my core concepts says to use a wagering process that includes both regressive and progressive aspects. A regressive aspect is a wager that increases after a loss or a series of losses. So in TRG2, always be grinding, after a loss, I flat bet until a win happens, or until I've lost a total of 7 units. If I lose 7, I found a losing streak, and I'm not going to test how much longer it goes. I've found it, I'm up, and I'm walking away. Once a win occurs, the amount wagered is increased and continues to increase with each win until everything lost has been recovered. So if 6 losses are followed by 3 wins, the buy-in amount has been recouped in a few bets. The streak of losses has been countered with a few overdue wins. Likewise, a progressive wager is an increased wager. Most commonly, I do this by increasing the wager amount by 50% after the second win in a row, and then continuing to add the same amount after each win. When playing blackjack, I limit progressive wagers to 2.5 units because I don't want to risk a large bet split into multiple hands and doubled. Again, when a win streak occurs, I see it after the fact. The wagering process hunts for it, and then I see that it has happened in the past. Episode 62 and 63 teach TRG Wagering System 2, Always Be Grinding. And ECE created a flowchart for it that you can download in the Fred section of the website. I've done a craps strategy that mirrors this process with place bets. I can find that episode number for you if you need it. And if any of you need it, I can find that number for you as well. How and when do you identify the end of a streak? The end of a losing streak is the predetermined amount of the buy-in I'm willing to lose. The end of a winning streak is a little more complex. When I design all of my wagering systems, there is a start to leave point. Perhaps I've won 8 units, and I'm willing to leave with 5 units and be happy. I'll play the remaining 3 chips until they are gone. With each win, I alternate between adding a unit to the 5 going home with me and the 3 I'm continuing to play with. If the winning continues, I could be playing for hours. If I ever don't have enough to continue without touching the money leaving with me, I'm done and the winning streak is over. When I sent that answer, I got a follow-up question, which was this. How do you feel about skipping a hand or two? Do you do it? If so, when and for how long? And my response was, I skip hands to step away, record a win, and start a new session at the same table. If my wife and I are playing together, I'll sit out a shoe after a group of bad things have happened and then get back in the game and start over. But I don't skip hands to, quote, change the cards or things of that nature. And I, as an aside, feel this is an incredibly part of my play. It is part of my totems and rituals. It is part of my internal dialogue with myself. And that is this. I play thousands of hands a month. They all start with 3 cards. My 2 card and the dealer's up card. Over time, those hands play the way those hands should play. Skipping or adding hands doesn't change the long run. Who am I? What do I know? I suppose it's possible. Maybe it does. Maybe skipping hands really changes something. I don't think so. I'm not this. The cards are set with the cut card. The cards are set with the cut card, and what they're going to do changes every time somebody makes a decision. Only if I am playing and I am playing perfect basic strategy is the outcome of the cards not going to be different. People get into the game, people get out of the game. I am not in the, I'm going to add a hand to change my outcomes, or I'm going to sit out 2 hands to change my outcomes. I don't think it makes sense. I don't do it. I have yet to see any logic to it, and that's going to continue to be my approach, at least for the foreseeable future, on splitting or on sitting out hands. And then the other question I had was in the Facebook group from Fresh Squeezed, and he said after listening to the episode, and this would have been the previous episode, 157. After listening to episode 157, this is the episode where I started examining the ideas in Beyond the Book. Fresh Squeeze says, I'm not sure if I understand the author's blackjack strategy. I get the get out when up 3.5 units or exit if down 5. Does he just flat bet? Any more details? And my response was, of course, thank you for asking. I always appreciate questions that clarify what I haven't been clear on. That is the great part about questions. This question basically says, I did not do my job well. It's like getting a C+. And the teacher says, but if you want to take it home and correct it, I'll move it to a B+. You're never going to get to an A. You're never going to change the fact that your original work wasn't good enough or wasn't perfect. It was good enough, it wasn't perfect. I'm never going to fix the fact that last episode I did not explain this well. But I get a chance here to correct my work and move what was perhaps a C+ to a B+. So here we go. The biggest change is how hands are played. Beyond the Book includes a modified player's guide to replace basic strategy. You can also get that player's guide by signing up for their free club on betwise21.com, and you can download if you don't have the book. I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't have the book and you don't want to buy the book and you want their guide, you can download it from their website. They will help you out with that. So Beyond the Book includes a modified player's guide to replace basic strategy. That's how you're going to play each set of 3 cards, how you're going to play each hand. And my current test is just flat betting. As written, the authors recommended 7 bets at 1 unit, 7 bets at 2 units, 7 bets at 3 units. My opinion is that they are evolving that, and perhaps a revision. They've suggested a revision to the book may be in the works. I've been open with the authors about my skepticism of what they've written. But that said, they are listeners to this podcast. They are members of our squad. We have unique access to them and their ideas as a squad. They've been generous with that. It's okay if everyone doesn't agree. In fact, it's better if everyone doesn't agree. It's better if we discuss calmly and professionally the areas where we don't agree. And if we don't find common ground, that's fine. And maybe what we find is that there are two ways to do something. That there's not just a way that works, that there's more than one way that works. So that's my approach to this. That's my thinking of this. Is that rather than say, well, I don't think you're right, so I'm not going to talk about it at all, or I don't think you're right, so I'm going to put you on blast. I don't see what good that does anyone. My approach is, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's do what we do. When Dr. ECE took a blackjack strategy from the 80s that he found on YouTube that, as blackjack goes, didn't look that hot, and turned it into a really useful bubble craps strategy that now has some of our squad members covering their cell phone bill by playing low-stakes bubble craps, we didn't go, well, that's not a good idea. We went, I get what you're thinking here, Doc. Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Let's try to figure it out. So that is what I am doing as it relates to Beyond the Book. I'm having a curious mind. I'm examining the ideas, and I'm sorry that it wasn't more clear in the first time I talked about it that this is how I'm betting it, flat betting it 5 units with the positive and negative exits I talked about, and I am resolving every hand according to the modified player's guide. And in my mind, the modified player's guide is one of the 2 big ideas from the book. Perhaps the biggest of the 2 big ideas from the book. No, that's not fair. There is really another great idea in the book, and now I'm completely off script, T-Rex. Do what you want with this. One of the things that Bruce talks a lot about, and David in the book, but Bruce talks about personally, I spend more time talking to him, is practice and repetition, practice and repetition, practice and repetition at home, outside the casino. And we're not going to do it next. We're going to do Core Koncepts next, but we are going to have results from some Beyond the Book testing that I've been doing, and we are going to find out that I perhaps could have used a little bit more practice. Leave that in, T-Rex. It actually kind of makes sense. Okay, those were great questions. If you have questions, as I said at the start of the show, feel free, hit me up, email me, ask what you need to know. I'll be happy to answer. Maybe it'll even turn into content in the podcast. Next, I have a very interesting discovery related to ADT to share with you, and we are going to do that in a Core Koncepts segment.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
For me, the core concepts of casino combat are the fundamental ideas, the foundational ideas that we build everything else from. And for me, an important tool for winning the game of casino gambling is winning in the comp portion of the game. That is one of the core concepts of casino combat. Some months, winning the comp game is the only way I finish the month with a win. If that doesn't make sense to you initially, I like to explain it this way. If I start the month with $1,000 in my right hand and nothing in my left hand, and finish the month with $900 in my right hand and $200 in gas gift cards in my left hand, who won? Did I win or did the house win? Assuming I have a reason to need to buy gasoline, I believe I won the game of casino gambling. Gas cards are as good as cash in my life. I am happy to use them. Think of it this way. If I had $100 in that scenario to buy gas, I now have $200 in that scenario to buy gas. Assuming the gas money was coming out of the bankroll, but ultimately money is fungible. Very, very true. Primary example of all of this. Very simple, but that's what I'm trying to do. Look, I'd prefer to finish the month with $200 in cash in my right hand and $2 in gift cards, but I'm okay with a month where the win is in the comps. As long as those comps have value to me. As long as there's something that is useful in my life. Here's an excellent example. I had 2 pairs of earbuds stolen when my bag was stolen. Our inventory of casino gifts no one has claimed yet includes 3 sets of earbuds and a set of over-the-ear headphones that we hadn't decided if we were going to sell or keep. I just rebuilt that part of my bag by taking casino gifts and bringing them into my life and into value. I say that is the same as money made because somehow I was going to have to buy sets of earbuds to replace what was stolen. And if the comps have cash value like gift cards, just so much the better. Now, I've heard something on and off over the years from hosts and other players. For example, a player would ask a host why they didn't get a particular comp, and the response would be, because you win too much. Now, I never put much stock in that. I never thought that was a real thing. It seemed like something nice to say to make the player feel more important. I heard it again a few months ago. I was talking with a friend of mine, Mile High Private Eye, a player I run into a few times a year locally, and he said he had spent the night at a nearby hotel over the weekend and had a great time. And I said, wow, I didn't think they did that anymore. I didn't think that they comped rooms anymore. I thought they stopped doing that. And he looked at me and he said, well, to you, they did stop doing that. You win too much. They know I'll lose my ass and come back the next morning for breakfast and lose it again. And we laughed and we finished our drinks, and I didn't think much more about it. But I've been doing this thing, as many of you know, this new thing, where I work as a casino host, technically a sub-host with Premier Casino Hosting. So I'm seeing more of what goes on behind the scenes. And in just a couple of conversations that I was kind of sort of barely a part of, at the end of the conversation, the question of player skill came up as it relates to potential value to the casino. I'll say that again. Player skill was a part of the conversation in determining how to value and comp a potential player. And a less skilled player was going to be comped better than a more skilled player because there is a higher probability that you would lose money as a lesser skilled player. And even that was really just a tiny part of a larger conversation that I was kind of copied and included in that didn't really apply to me. And in that moment, it didn't really stand out to me the way I've highlighted it to you here. That idea really didn't jump out at me. I was looking through some notes this morning over breakfast, and I came back across that little bits of conversation, and my first thought was, you've got it wrong. The first moment of my internal dialect was, no, you've got it wrong. You interviewed Michael Feldman, and he explained ADT, and he's an expert. Eric Hazel explained ADT at Crafts for the Cure. You've had dozens of conversations about ADT over the years. You know how ADT works. If there was a skill component in the math, you would know about it. But I was sure about my notes. So I did what we increasingly do. I asked ChatGPT, do casinos use a skill ranking to determine ADT? Now that is a rather specific question. Ask most of the people on the globe this question, and the response is likely to be, what is ADT? Ask most casino goers that question, and the response most likely will be, what is ADT? Very few people know what ADT is. In fact, there was a really good chance that many of you listening don't know what ADT is, and if that is true, stick with me a minute while I ramble. I'll get there. So since very few people know what ADT is, it was very possible that ChatGPT didn't know either. and that I wouldn't get an answer, or that the answer would just define ADT and not have a clue about my skill question. That was certainly very, very possible. But ChatGPT's answer was amazing, and here it is. Casinos don't typically use a formal skill ranking like you'd find in competitive games. Chess ELO or on-loan matchmaking ranks, for example, but they do account for player skill, especially in games where skill can impact the house edge when calculating ADT, average daily theoretical, and comps. Here is how ADT, average daily theoretical, works. This is the estimated amount of money a player is expected to lose per day based on game type, average bet, number of bets per hour, time played, and house edge. My note, exactly what we've always talked about. ChatGPT continued. For example, if you play blackjack with a $50 average bet, 100 hands per hour for 3 hours, and the house is 1%, house edge is 1%, 50 times 100 times 3 equals 15,000 wagered. 1% house edge is 150 theoretical loss. Your Theo. Casinos use this Theo to determine your ADT and base your comps on that value. Player skill consideration. In skill games like blackjack or video poker, casinos may adjust your theoretical loss downward if they detect you're playing very skillfully because the house edge drops or vanishes with perfect play. In extreme cases like card counting or advantage play, your expected value might be positive. Your expected value might be positive, not negative. Casinos detect skills in several ways. Game speed. Fewer mistakes often means faster play. Betting patterns. Results over time. Player tracking, software, and surveillance. So while they may not give you a numerical skill ranking, they'll absolutely adjust your Theo based on how sharp you are. The sharper you are, the less you're worth to them, and the fewer comps you'll likely get. Wow. The sharper you are, the less you're worth to them, and the fewer comps you'll likely get. There's breaking news, folks. Comps are calculated as a percentage of your Theo, often around 20 to 40%, but it varies by casino and tier level. So, higher ADT equal more comps, but high skill can reduce your Theo and therefore your comps. Summary. Casinos don't use a literal skill rating, but they do adjust ADT and comps based on observed or inferred player skill, especially in skill-based games. Less skilled players are worth more to the casino and usually get more comps. There you got it. There you've got it. Right exactly from ChatGPT, putting together the best information we think possible on this topic. Casinos don't use a literal skill ranking, but they do adjust ADT and comps based on observed or inferred player skill, especially in skill-based games. Less skilled players are worth more to the casino and usually get more generous comps. There you go. Skill is a factor in the comps we receive, with the two games mentioned being blackjack and video poker. Let's consider the tells the house is looking for, the scorecard that ChatGPT has offered for skill detection. Game speed. We can adjust and control that to some extent. Playing at fuller tables. Storytelling at empty tables with no money in the bet circle, where they have no choice but to accommodate the fact that you're slowing down the game. Taking longer than necessary to ponder a hand. You don't have to play as fast as you're capable of playing. As blackjack players, we are going to try to increase. We could. I am going to. You can do whatever you want. Boy, sometimes the guy writing these scripts, I'll tell you, I am going to try to increase my ADT by being seen as a less skillful player. We can be mindful of this while playing and not play incredibly fast. That is an aspect we can control. Betting patterns, that's a tough one. I'm not going to change that much. I play TRG4 with or without a buy-in on a rapier on my buy-in. Anyone that pays attention is going to see a pattern. Anyone who pays attention is going to see, regardless of what I'm playing, even if they don't pay attention, they're going to see that I have a method to how I stack my chips. That's a tell that I'm not going to be able to minimize significantly. Results over time. I assert that I believe I can and do manipulate this over time. It doesn't seem intuitive, but I really am quite sure mathematically that I do get away with doing this. Or people are just bad at their jobs. That's possible, I guess. I regroup at the end of shoes and pocket green chips as I go. The house doesn't see everything I'm walking away with, and they're not high enough denomination chips that they're RFID'd everywhere and tracked everywhere. And yes, I'm sure there are some casinos that do RFID every chip. But I keep very good written records. When I finish a trip, and compare my records to the house's records, the house consistently shows me winning less than I know I've won, or losing more than my records say I lost. I've had pit bosses say to me as I'm leaving, "At least you broke even for the day, TRG." And I'll say, "Yeah, it's getting late. I'm going to just have to take the push today." And I say that knowing I have a day's pay in my pocket, the left lower vest pocket in green chips, which ties into player tracking software and surveillance. I wouldn't even know where to begin with this one. I don't have intel on that particular topic at this time. The craps and roulette players in the squad also have a point to be made here about their games of choice. No one is, according to this information that we have today, factoring in skill on those games. Inner Circle members Equine Ensign and Excelsior Brigade member Nakatomi Tony have done some interesting research into a points-generating roulette strategy or set of strategies. If you are a skilled blackjack player and as you play the game of casino gambling, you want to win more in the comp portion of the game, disguising your skills at a new property and adding some time at a game where skill isn't evaluated could generate additional value for you in the comp part of what you're doing. All right, now we're going to take the journey through the tavern and enter the galaxy where playing for comps is not part of walking the path. I have some results for you from time spent playing Beyond the Book.
And beyond!
As we discussed in episode 157, I'm testing the ideas presented in the book Blackjack Beyond the Book. The authors Bruce Dye and Dave Krite assert that the player's hand should not be played using traditional basic strategy, but should be instead played using their modified player's guide. On the wagering side, they have shown me a few different ways to wager. I'm currently flat betting $100 with a 5-unit buy-in and a 3.5-unit win goal. I am trying to play this heads up against the dealer. I am trying to play a very limited number of hands and then get the cards reshuffled. I'm having mixed results on that. I'm seeing mixed outcomes. Some pit bosses yes, some pit bosses no. I'm doing it in high limit, so I'm never going to have somebody join the game in the middle of a shoe on me. I'm controlling the parts of the game that I can control in that way. I finished 10 sessions and increased my bankroll by 50%. And more than covered the cost of parking, which is an expense I do not need to cover currently, but would need to factor in if I was starting this from scratch and only playing this technique at my local casino. My expense, my unavoidable expense, regardless of travel, would be the cost of parking. I wanted to have another 10 attempts to share with you today. But as I said, I'm trying to play only heads up against the dealer, and the high limit room was just too busy on my last visit for me to get in the 20th session. So I have 9 more attempts to share with you today. Attempt number 11, minus $500, 110 tier points earned. Attempt 12, plus $345, 108 tier points earned. Attempt 13, $340 won, 80 tier points earned. Attempt 14, minus $500, 86 tier points. Attempt 15, minus $450, 102 tier points. We're seeing some consistency on tier points there. $390 won in attempt 16, 114 tier earned. Attempt 17, $340 won, 75 tier points earned. Attempt number 18, minus 500, 24 tier points earned. +1 was the best I did on this session. It was very, very quick. I got up 1 unit, and I lost all the rest of the hands on the way out, and we were done quickly, so very low tier score there. Attempt number 19, minus $460, 311 tier points earned. This was a long session, a very long session for this style of play, and I didn't get a lot of cooperation from the floor on getting reshuffles, and the other 2 tables had players at them that were open, so I couldn't just switch tables. I had to play through. It was the only option I had, and there were multiple times where I was up 2.5 units, but had to regroup after then taking 3 losses. And I made a mistake. I screwed up. I really did. As I said, longer session. I got talking to the dealer about Beyond the Book. I was explaining the ideas in the book, and we were talking and we were chatting, and I was dealt an 8-8, a pair of aces versus dealer's 6. And I didn't remember which galaxy I was playing in, and I instinctively threw the money out and split and was dealt a card before I realized. Just all that quick. We're talking, the cards come out, the money comes out, the next card comes out. My fault. My fault completely. No reason for the dealer to check with me when I split my cards. This would be a normal play for me. Nothing surprising here. No reason for the dealer to check. The card can't be backed up. I'd seen it. There wasn't anything to be done here. There wasn't any way to say, oh, that's not what I wanted, or it was what it was. The first card out was an 8. I would have busted. I would have had two chips left to continue playing. And in the moment, realizing I'd made a mistake, I decided to put the last chip out and split again. I end up with 3 hands, 14, 13, 50. Dealer has a 2 under their 6, lands on 15 for a minute, and then draws a 3 for 18. 3 losing hands, session over. I screwed up. Bruce, one of the authors of the books, will often say, I'd rather win 1 than lose, in this case, 3, when he doesn't split something that's traditionally split. He certainly would have been right on this hand. Nothing I can do for the purpose of this test but admit the play was a mistake that I made, take responsibility, and move on. We have no way of knowing how the session would have finished if I'd had 2 more chips left and had continued to play. I ended the session. I did take $200 after thinking about it a little bit, after thinking through how I was going to handle this. I did move $200 from my bankroll, my personal bankroll, to the testing bankroll as at least a small way of adjusting for the error that I made. I don't quite know what else to do about that except be honest about the mistake and try to make it right to the extent that I can in the testing bankroll. So where do we stand on the money and the tier part of this? Because that's the test data that I'm accumulating in addition to the per hand or per session data, per attempt data. The initial bankroll was $2,000. This run of 9 hands, I did lose some of the money, but we still have a total win of $345. The current bank with the $200 added in is $2,545, so we're still in a winning position. If I was paying for parking, as I said, I'm not. I'm just tracking it for the purposes of this evaluation. But if I was paying for parking, I would have spent $470 on parking so far, and I would still have a cash profit of $75. On the tier side, I have tiers earned 1,916. Average tiers earned per session 100. An estimated made up averaged out if you did this 20 times a month, if you played 5 days a week like a business, my estimated annual tier credits would be just over 24,000, 24,202, and 24,202 tier credits would land me in the second tier of this casino's reward system. It would not be getting me a monthly gift. We have no way of knowing if I would get any gift cards or anything with this play. I suspect I wouldn't, but I have no way of knowing that. But I do know I need 70,000. I would need to get 70,000 in a year to not be paying for parking. And that's why we're evaluating that. We're not evaluating the tier points themselves because the authors tell you not to play for tier status, to play for money. I'm evaluating it only because if you were playing in Atlantic City, or if you were playing at my local casino, and maybe there are some others, parking is something you have to pay for, and it would be a meaningful expense to me if I was only playing this way and I had just started playing this way now. So that's why we're tracking that expense in this structure. So a little bit rough, a little bit of a rough patch, a mistake on my part, certainly. Learning to play a different way turns out to be a little tougher than perhaps I thought. I've got to focus a bit more and talk a bit less when I'm playing. Another difference is how I need to walk the path in the Beyond Galaxy. It's just different. I had thought that going into high limit and having some slightly different rituals was going to cause me to lock in and focus. Got a little cavalier with that in the 19th attempt. I'm going to refocus. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to be more aware that when I walk through that big arch into the high limit room, that I am in the other galaxy, that I am walking that path a different way. Going to try to eliminate those mistakes going forward. Let's adjourn to the virtual VIP lounge for some sips and a unique opportunity that I want to highlight and put focus on that each and every one of you have. Well, those of you that didn't take advantage of this opportunity already. Let's go.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the Virtual VIP Lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs, guaranteed or your money back. As always, if you can, press pause. Let's hang out together as we would in a high-end lounge in some wonderful resort. Pour a drink, fix a plate. If you can't, please do so virtually in the theater of the mind. It's early, I'll be honest. I'm finishing off a chocolate milk here today. I've been on a bit of a run recording this since I finished breakfast this morning. Probably the quickest I've ever done an episode from outline in my head to uploading it to be distributed to all of you. I enjoy our virtual VIP lounge chats a great deal. But if you are a regular listener to this podcast, you are missing out on an amazing opportunity. This is a good virtual VIP lounge, but we have a better one. We have a more exclusive one that many of us hang out in all day, every day. It might be virtual, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. It is very real. We hang out together using the Slack app, and let me share a couple of events, a handful of events that happened recently that illustrate, in my opinion, why you are missing out if you are not there with us. On a recent weekend, Mrs. TRG and I were at a Seneca property. Yeah, actually, T-Rex, don't let me forget to tell the gas station story. If I get to the end of this recording and I didn't tell it, T-Rex, make me put it in at the end. This is I hadn't thought about that. We were at this Seneca property, had a really unique experience leaving, but we were there. It's about 3 hours east of our home, and we were there so I could play in a blackjack tournament. At the same time, Inner Circle member Gator Gambler was on a visit to Red Rock near Las Vegas and on a roller coaster of a run at the blackjack tables. As G2 went from high to low and back again, people he's never met in real life, never met in person. Dr. ECE, Equine Ensign, Midnight Diver, just everyone hanging out together in that virtual VIP lounge on Slack, coached him from a loss back to a win. From across the continent and across time zones, we were all together, we gave advice, we gave encouragement, and Gator Gambler left Red Rock with a nice win. Our squad is real, and even when we are not together, they are allies you can count on. We are allies you can count on. They were coaching each other. We were coaching each other in real time as he went through the process. Tell me where else that exists. Or another example. Recently, I had thought of how I might play the rapier technique a bit differently. And after sharing it in our virtual VIP lounge, Midnight Diver asked about my win rate using a 45 rapier. And as we discussed that, Lucky Drunk had some questions, and Midnight Diver had some amazing test data on rapier with regrouping to share with all of us. All of us sharing our experiences using these techniques and being better and more skilled because of it. Or, do you want a roulette strategy for earning tier points? I mentioned that earlier. We have those under discussion. You can be part of that every day. You can have coaches and allies in your pocket, on your devices, 24/7, 365, who know how to play and are willing to help you be a better player. And I try to pull the most important items out of Slack and share them here. But if you're not hanging out there with us, you are missing out on a great resource for you as a player, as I said, to make you a better player. And if I was any other guy on the planet, or gal, but if I was any other human on this planet, or robot, I guess, this is the moment where I would tell you it's only $20 a month, or it's only $500 a year, or something like that. I'd put a price on it. And you know what? At $20 a month, it'd be a real bargain. It'd be a real value at $20 a month, but I'm not any other human or robot on the planet, and this isn't every other community on the planet. You can take advantage of this opportunity and come hang out with us with just a little effort. We want you to be part of this. We are asking you to be part of it. We are inviting you to be part of this very unique and special group, and this is how you do it. First, figure out the real world name of my home casino, Casino 2, 2.5 hours south and east of my home. It is not that difficult to do. You will have to listen to some back episodes. Full disclosure, if you listen to back episodes, I might make a penny from the commercials. That is true. But you got to figure out that real world name and email me and become a member of the Excelsior Brigade and be one of the cool kids and be assigned a really cool call sign. And then second, you have to find Nakatomi Tony, YouTube megastar Same Bet, or Equine Ensign in the real world via email or private message and ask them for an invitation. And that's it. That's all it takes to be part of our elite group of gambling experts. And as I've said, we would be thrilled to add your ideas to our group. That is the opportunity that if you are listening to this, I think you would be greatly benefited by participating, by taking advantage of this opportunity. And I touched on an idea there. Rapier. The rapier technique. It's always a part of our discussions. We each got our own version of it a little bit. We've each tweaked it a little bit, but it is a technique that we really believe in. A technique that none other than Inner Circle member East Coast Emissary, the only person to ever earn a PhD in casino combat, called the most badass strategy for finding and gaining a profit at a blackjack table that has ever been invented. Actually, I think I just paraphrased him, and he probably said it better in the original. But the rapier buy-in and wagering process keeps you on a table longer, inflates your average wager size in the eyes of most pit bosses in our testing, and with regrouping, searches for the portion of a shoe where things turn your way and you achieve a small win for the shoe. This is the technique that Midnight Diver played for an entire weekend at Sunset Station, winning shoe after shoe after shoe. There are roughly 20 people on the planet, by my count, that know how to use the Casino Concept rapier technique to structure their buy-in and their play. Those people are testing it, winning with it, and refining it. If you would like to be the 21st person to learn this technique, email me, trg@casinocombat.com. There is a small fee, but I will do my best to fit everyone's budget. And to tie this all back in with what we're talking about, members of the Excelsior Brigade, members of the Inner Circle. That would be you if you're not a member of the Inner Circle or Excelsior Brigade yet, and you become one on your way to taking advantage of this opportunity that I am sharing with you. They all get comped. If you're a member of the Excelsior Brigade in the Inner Circle and you're hearing this and you're going, I didn't know I was eligible. You're eligible, email me. I'll send you all the material. I'll send you all the video instruction on using this technique. If you are not and you're thinking, I'd like to be the 21st person, but I don't want to pay, cool. That's better from my point of view. Don't. Join the Excelsior Brigade. Join us in Slack. Contribute in that fashion. Come help make all of us better while we make you better, and I'll comp you all the materials to learn the rapier technique. I'm not hiding it. I didn't write it all up in something fancy and lock it behind a paywall. I will charge you if you don't want to contribute effort. I have a price, a very low price. If you would like to contribute effort, that would be my preferred method of compensation, and we'd love to welcome you and have you join us. It is an opportunity I think you should take advantage of. There was another item. What was the other item? There was one. The gas station, yeah. Let's finish with a quick observation from the road. We were at the Seneca Allegheny Resort and Casino. If you would like to go, send me an email. I'll be happy to make your reservation there. We do have a contract with them through Premier Casino Hosting. We would love to have you there. And if I can, I'll drive over and hang out. It's a great place. I'll be more than happy to come over and hang out if my schedule allows and if you'd actually like me to be around. If you just want to enjoy your time, that's fine too. But it is a beautiful place, great rules and limits, a nice VIP room with nice bottles. Anyway, cannabis is legal in that area, and I'm unclear if that is the state of New York or if that is the Seneca Nation doing their own thing. I'm not quite clear, but it is legal and it is available in several places just across the highway from the resort. As we're leaving to head home, we had to get gas, and as I pull into the pump, a sign at the pump says that with purchases of $20 or more, you get a pre-rolled cannabis cigarette with your purchase. Look, they say there's a first time for everything, and well, this is the first time I've ever seen an offer like that. I guess it gives new meaning to don't drive under the influence. I certainly hope people that are taking advantage of that promotion, and if that's something you enjoy, why wouldn't you? Fill up gas $20 at a time, you're kind of probably in well supplied, I would imagine, just thinking out loud. Like New Jersey, they pump your gas for you at this particular gas station. And when the man came to the window, I was under Mrs. TRG's watchful eye, and I gave the attendant my card and told him I needed $19 in gas.
Please, tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host, but don't tip away your wins. TRG has spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out he was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand. TRG was born a ramblin' man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The best part of the podcast is next. The Casino Combat Blues. Thank you again to Fish Audio for providing my glorious voice. Special thank you to my original actress, Author Julia Tverdovskaya.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy red bumps start on my arm, then my back, sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace. There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has an advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that, don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement, it's the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. Whoa. You don't see it in the headlines, you don't hear it every day. No one's trying to stop us and we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets of folks like me and you. You ask any casino manager, he'll say there's nothing he can do. From the pockets of the casino